What is something about you or your life that is always difficult to explain to new people? Story 1. Trying to explain that I once had a son. Long story, but my ex-girlfriend got pregnant while we were together. She left both me and the boy a month after he was born. Through full custody trials, I found out he wasn't mine. Continued raising him for 3 years, then bio dad came in asking for DNA test. Turned out he was the father. My ex turned up dead after all these years. Bio dad used her death as leverage to gain full custody. He won 'cause really I had no rights, and took him and never let me see him again. He couldn't stand the thought of him calling someone else dad. Kid's 7 now, and his grandma, ex's mom, says he still asks about me. Breaks my heart. Thanks for the kind words. The whole situation was pretty wild for years before and after he was born. If I had writing skills, I could write a book that would probably be entertaining. The poor guy's mother was brutally murdered. I forgot to mention that, and that's a whole different story in itself. But life goes on, and I have 2 beautiful daughters and a wife, and we are all very happy. Story 2. That I'm not from anywhere. Sure, I know where I was born, but we left there when I was a baby, and I've never been back. K through college, I attended 14 schools. I've lived in 16 cities, across 4 states, and I've never stayed in one town longer than 5 years. Average is about 20 months. My hometown is wherever I'm paying bills right now. People do not understand how someone can have no roots. To answer some questions, I'm not even a military brat, we just always followed the work. I think the toughest thing about it is that you never really learn how to form and keep relationships, romantic, platonic, professional, etc. On one hand, it's freeing to be clear of attachments, but on the other hand, the long and lonely roads are often the most tiring. Story 3. My mother is crazy, but not the television special, quirky and lovable kind of crazy. She's the refuses to take her meds, resorts to violences, destroys everything kind of crazy. She refuses to see a doctor long enough to get an official diagnosis. I don't even have the proper vocabulary to explain what kind of crazy she is. It's hard to explain to new people that I have PTSD from my childhood, that there is no amount of therapy that will fix the relationship between my mother and I, and that my mother is to this day still stalking me and likely to contact any new friends I make to try and insinuate herself into my life. There is no happy ending to this story, so when the topic of mothers come up with new people, I usually just tell them that my mother is deceased. Story 4. That I'm a severe stutterer and a full verbal conversation with me will be pretty awful. It'll take me a long time to express myself, and you'll probably get frustrated. You'd never admit it, but you will, and that's okay, and try to rush it along by attempting to finish my words or predict what I'm going to say, which you'll think is helpful, but is actually just going to put more pressure on me to complete my thoughts independently and will therefore make the stuttering even worse. And you're only going to predict or finish my thoughts accurately maybe 25% of the time, and then I'm going to have to start over because you've interrupted my process. The substance of what I'm saying will be entirely overshadowed by the tortuous delivery of it, and I'll come out of this whole thing winded, frustrated, alienated, and just generally fucking miserable. Story 5. People find it weird, and often don't believe me when I say I don't really judge people. Like at all. I've just grown to a point where almost nothing is weird. I know now that every single person living has a complex life, literally as complex or more than my own, so why should I shame people for the things they like, or activities they participate in? It's so weird how people just love to judge other people just based on how they grew up, where they from, or what they like. When people tell me things like, "Oh, that's not normal," and the like, you can't tell me that, because I won't really believe it. Do I think things are weird? Yeah, of course, but it's really easy for me to rationalize in my head why they may like something that's considered fucked up. Granted, as long as no one is being harmed. Point is, if it's harming no one, why care? I really do believe in live and let live. Part of the reason I don't mind people telling me their life story as soon as we meet, is because some people just need that one person to talk to. Even if we have no intention of meeting again, I feel nice being the one they can vent to. Story 6. I'm a gay, transgender, Latino Republican living in California. It's not fun sometimes when people find out. They demand an explanation, as if I've committed some horrific crime for daring to register for that particular political party. Then they try to educate me, as if I've never heard of the Republican Party and the shit it typically represents. I'm not ignorant, and I don't feel like I should have to justify why I registered as a Republican. Don't treat me like some blind follower either. I don't always vote for the Republican candidate. I'm pro-choice, and I've never voted against LGBT and minority rights. Hell, I voted for Obama twice, and I would have voted no on Prop 8 had I lived in California at the time. Just accept that I feel that this is the best fit for me overall. It's not great to talk about on Reddit either, because I get the exact same shit as I do in person, except more aggressive because we're all online. I guarantee at least one person is going to try to tell me the wonders of being an independent or a libertarian and try to convert me to it, thinking that I've never heard of either before. If this is you, fuck off. I don't like being this rude, but I feel I must be to get the message across. I know what both platforms stand for, and Republican fits me better. Just trust me on this. I know myself way better than you know me. Story 7. I teach kindergarten. When I tell people that, the usual responses are, "Oh, that's so cute. It must be so fun." Or, "I would love to get summers off." My job isn't all finger painting and singing and art projects. Kindergarten is extremely academic now, and aside from planning lessons, I also have to collect data, analyze that data, and turn it into action to get results. I administer state assessments and have to deal with parents and administration. I'm usually in my classroom for at least an hour after the students have gone home, and will work at home for at least another hour most nights. And I may not be in regular school during the summer, but I work at a summer camp to supplement my income, since I barely make enough to get by. By August, I'm starting to brainstorm for the next school year. I'm actually starting to make resources for my classroom / buy decorations this week. And the kiddos don't come back until the second week of September. It's not playtime all day, and even when it is playtime, that's my moment to check homework folders, write notes to parents, and check in on the kids as they play to see how they're developing socially. It's hard work. Story 8. My ethnic background. I've been born and raised in Luxembourg and consider myself a 100% Luxembourger. But my dad is from Germany and his parents were born in what is now Poland. We're sure there have been Tatars in my grandpa's ancestry because he looks like a Japanese sensei when he's sleeping. My mother on the other side was born in Angola to Portuguese parents and was raised in France. Her ancestry has Germanic or British origins because we have people on my maternal grandma's side that have natural red/blonde hair and blue eyes. They're from northern Portugal, so we guess it must have been an English merchant or a Germanic warrior of the Swabian tribes that has brought his genes into the area. To add more confusion, I have family in Sweden, Brazil, and Canada too. I myself was told to look like an Italian. It's a mess, quite frankly, but I was told diversity means better genes, so I guess my genes are OP.